We are back. It is another edition of Colts Corner with myself, Kevin Bowen, and the YouTube audience, the beautiful face across from me, Eddie Garrison. It looked like YouTube went pretty smooth week one, Eduardo, correct?
Yeah, everyone thought I was AI or a student of yours, or in one case, somebody thought I was Chinese, apparently.
Yeah, I did enjoy it, maybe laughed a little bit at a few of the comments there, but hey, keep the comments coming, keep the listening and the viewing coming. Again, we are live on YouTube now here with Colts Corner, and we appreciate you guys checking all of that out. Summer vacation is officially over. I just got back from Grand Park. It is report day, Colts training camp. We're recording this Tuesday afternoon, July 28th. Eddie, we'll probably reconvene. I almost think in a week, because the Colts will have a lot of practices between now and then. The full pads, it takes a few practices before those get done. But here we are. And I would say relatively good news all in all. You always have an injury surprise, but, I think maybe some surprising good news we can get into. From report day, we did hear from Chris Ballard. It did hit me a little bit, just kind of walking out of the Ballard press conference, Eddie. When's the next time we hear from him?
Yeah, fair.
GMs, this is kind of where they pass the baton to the head coach. Head coach becomes voice of the team. Then typically the next time we hear from the GM is after the season. Well, what is that going to be like? Again, it kind of summarizes, that thought for me just kind of summarizes the uncertainty around this 2026 Colts team. When's the next time we hear from Carly Ursay-Gordon? Her dad typically spoke at training camp. Is she going to follow suit? I think there are some questions for her. Or is she going to make the appearance on the preseason TV, control a little bit of that narrative, and then we don't hear from her to the end of the season. So, but nonetheless, it was report day, morning practices coming Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, afternoon practice on Saturday. Again, we'll do our live morning show out there from 7 to 10 a.m. So if you're coming out to Grand Park, northwest part of those practice fields, come say hey. And, yeah, I'm looking forward to getting into it on today's pod, man.
Did you enjoy your last weekend of freedom over the weekend before having to go up to Grand Park today?
Nice to get some relaxation in, certainly. But,
I didn't realize you were such a lake guy until becoming friends with Maddie Bowen on Facebook, and now it seems like you and Maddie and the kids are at the lake almost every other weekend.
Yeah, Maddie's in-laws have a lake house up in northern Indiana off of Leesburg, Indiana. Lake Tippy, for those up there. It's kind of the Wawasee is the big one, I think, up in that area. So, but yeah, we went up there. Kids absolutely love it. Nice to get some relaxation there. I know nothing about the lake. I mean, hell, I me driving a boat or me driving a kayak looks sadly about as wobbly as, sometimes Tiger Woods after these car accidents. So,
okay.
Yeah, it's never, as I rock the Tiger Woods hat here for our YouTube audience out there. So, but no, great time up there. Good to relax a little bit. But again, I'm just kind of a loser though. Like Eddie, I love today. I loved waking up today. I like that we're finally going to get some answers to all of this. I enjoy the offseason. I get the offseason charges a lot of people up. And I'm fine debating the topics, and we love what people throw our way. But this is kind of what it's about for me is, a little bit more of this. And I like training camp life. I'm bummed that Grand Park will no longer be hosting it after this year. I can rant and rave about that, but I'll probably hold off for a little bit on that. But unless you got anything else to add, should we dive into the news topics?
Let's start. It all started not today, on Tuesday. The news started Monday, afternoon, about 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock on Monday afternoon Eastern time, that the Colts will have two players on the physically unable to perform list. That being CJ Allen, who's dealing with a calf issue, and Alec Pierce, who is still recovering from that offseason ankle surgery procedure. The good news, though, however, Kevin, a guy that we are wondering about all offseason long, he did get cleared yesterday. Just in fact, you guys learned that today. DeForest Buckner will not be on the PUP list. He will be good to go for the first practice tomorrow afternoon.
Yeah, so let's start with the PUP guys, and then we can get into maybe the better injury news. Obviously, Pierce, I think this is kind of expected, to be honest with you. I think when Pierce kind of laid out where he was at injury-wise, to me, this sounded much more like okay, what about August? I don't think July is going to be a thing. What about August? We just got done from chatting with Chris Ballard. He said it's probably going to be a week or two into camp. So, Eddie, if we calendar that out, a week into camp would be, I think he'd miss 6 of the 13 practices. When we get into the second week of camp, it's a little bit lighter because that's when they're out in New England for that joint session. I think that would be around like 8 or 9 practices. Now, a question that I had for Ballard today was, does the veteran wide receiver move have any impact on Alec Pierce's health? He was pretty adamant it doesn't. I can listen to conversations on that. If this Pierce thing like really starts to linger, I mean, wouldn't you like to get a veteran wideout in here earlier in the month of August to try and get that player up to speed, particularly with Daniel Jones likely not to participate in the preseason game? So, it's an ankle procedure. I don't want to act like it's anything too crazy. Pierce has been a very healthy guy throughout his NFL and really collegiate career as well. But you are going to ask more out of him. You're going to ask for more of a plate of the route tree. He can't just be a 4 or 5 target guy where 3 or 4 of them are down the field and you hope he catches half of them and you hope he gets a pass interference on one of the others. Like, he's got to be more than that for you here. So we'll see, how this plays out. If you want to go off the Pierce timetable, we're in month 4 of a 4 to 6 month rehab. So, we're still, I guess, on the early side of it here. But, again, Ballard thinks there's a chance he participates at Grand Park. You could probably set, pretty interesting over-under how many practices he will actually get in at Grand Park. Now, the surprising news item was the other guy on PUP, and that was C.J. Allen. Now, for the most part, Eddie, when you have a 90-man roster and they're away for 6 weeks, you're probably going to have somebody. This is the big ramp-up period. The first part of the offseason is where you ramp down. This is the ramp up. So it's a lot of activity these guys are doing with their respective training regiments. So for Allen, he tweaked a calf muscle strain is what Ballard called it in training. Doesn't sound like this is supposed to be long-term. Now, again, when you say the 4-letter C word around here,
yeah,
calf makes people go nuts. Nuts. And so I'm not here to make light of any of that. But, Eddie, if I'm going to go roster 1 to 90 right now, and if you were to throw the question to me, which of the 90 players need the most practice time, I'd probably put C.J. Allen pretty darn high on that list.
100%.
Now, again, he comes from Georgia and all this. I don't want to act like he's making some huge jump. It's not a South Carolina State jump that Darius Leonard was making, but still, a lot is going to be asked of him responsibility-wise, communication-wise, all of that. So I think it's important for him to get out there as early as possible. I do find it interesting, and we'll find out tomorrow, is his backup a rookie? Like, is it going to be Bryce Betcher that all of a sudden, takes over these reps, whereas Akeem Davis-Gaither and Jalen Carlisle might be a little bit more of the, weak side backers there. Austin Ajike, probably another name to mention. So, again, the Allen news, I think just a little bit of a bummer from that aspect of it. We know Lou Anarumo's never had a green dot guy into in a season, and he's been a defensive coordinator now for close to a decade. And I'll also add just one more thing here, because we focus so much on the Daniel Jones easing into the season. You and I had this conversation back in the spring, Eddie. It would have been better in my eyes if the Colts had a backloaded schedule. Let Daniel Jones kind of get his feet wet with the Tennessees, the Clevelands, the Giants of the world. You're not really doing that. You're not really doing that defensively either. And again, I think that's a question, because C.J. Allen is one of potentially 3 rookies starting for your defense, or 3 first snap NFL, or Justin Wally, I guess you throw into that group. So, Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson weeks 1 and 2, that's not really easing into it. And I get Lamar's in a new offense, and C.J. Allen Patrick Mahomes has come back from the ACL, but still, chess match wise, critical 3rd and 4, week 1 and week 2, those things can be huge in regards to, how your defense is lining up and things like that. So again, those are the 2 PUP guys as of now. Tuesday afternoon, we are recording this. On the good injury news front, I think as expected, Daniel Jones is full go. Now, and Ballard mentioned this, and this isn't shocking. Now, he's not 100%. He obviously is trying to continue to work his way into that level. But still, the fact that he's been cleared to do everything, you feel like whatever 11-on-11 workload you want to throw at him, he can do. It doesn't sound like they have like planned maintenance days either. I was kind of curious, like they start camp here, Eddie, with 4 straight practices.
Mm-hmm.
Would he sit out a Friday? It doesn't sound like that.
I don't think a guy like him can afford to sit out a day like that either, just because of the fact that we already know he's not playing in the preseason. So every practice rep that he can get is going to be critical, especially with, as we've already talked about, Alec Pierce not being out there. Now he has to develop, some repertoire, friendship, whatever relationship with some of these other receivers so that, if there is a Sunday, week 1, for example, when you take on the Baltimore Ravens, if Alec Pierce isn't 100% and he's out there on a snap limit, you've got some sort of connection developing with whomever, Nick Westbrook-Akine. Now, some of the guys, and most of them have been in the room last year, but it doesn't hurt.
Yeah, I was more curious, just like, would his body allow for him to do, would the medical staff allow for him to do that? Like, we're going to get in this debate here in a couple months. Like, will Tyrese Halliburton play back-to-backs? Mm-hmm. Again, that sort of, question that you would have there. We had Josh Downs on the morning show. You're actually I should have teased that earlier. We'll play that Josh Downs interview. We had him on our fan morning show, myself and James Boyd. Always enjoyed talking to Josh Downs. Think he's candid, think he's pretty lighthearted. Good dude. And so we'll play that for you upcoming here right before Twitter questions. And you're going to hear Downs in the interview say, when they went to Florida for their little quarterback skill position mini camp here a few weeks back, you wouldn't have known Daniel Jones had been hurt, if you just watched him throw. Now, again, throwing on the move and rolling out, those sorts of questions. Take off the red jersey. All of that remains to be seen. But good news there. And again, great news on DeForest Buckner. And this probably slots in the surprising category. Eddie, the Colts played it, very close to the vest through the spring and really wanted to make sure with the neck that he was going to be good to go. And the fact that it sounds like he will participate in some capacity Wednesday is great news. Now, it does sound like they will work him in slowly, and I think you will see more of a maintenance approach to him, which, the Colts have kind of typically done this. What's Buckner, 11th year in his league, in this league? Like, you would probably do that anyways. But I just think this is good and important news because I don't view Buckner this year, Eddie, as just, that guy's been in the league for a decade. I'll see him on September 13th. However many reps he feels like he needs in camp. Okay.
Yep.
No, I mean, he's coming off a very serious surgery. He mentioned earlier in the spring that his technique needed to change a little bit. I think that's important stuff to try out. I think it's important stuff to try out with full pads on. I think it's important stuff to try out in joint practices. Maybe even a preseason game, as crazy as that sounds. Mm-hmm. So I think all of that is really important for Buck. So, again, he even mentioned, ramp myself up here, but I thought that was probably the best and the most surprising news of report day.
Yeah, certainly. Let's move into now on report day. You mentioned it earlier. You got to talk with the Colts general manager, Chris Ballard, going into year 10, as hard as that may seem. I know there were a lot of comments made, and a lot of them, Kevin, are some of the same comments that have been made in the previous 9 times that he's met with you guys out at training camp. Anything that stood out to you with what the Colts general manager had to say today?
Okay, let's start a little newsy before we get into maybe some of like his own future philosophical, pressure, win now, all that stuff. Jonathan Taylor will practice tomorrow.
Good.
I think some people had questions about, are we going to get Hoodie 2.0? Mercifully, we will not get Hoodie 2.0. Was it Hoodie Allen? Was that the singer? Does that ring a bell to you?
A boogie with a hoodie?
Do that again?
A boogie with a hoodie?
Oh, man. Boy, that sounded so beautiful how easily you just said that. Hoodie Allen is popping in my head. For some reason, I feel like I was somebody I listened to in college. I could be totally wrong on that. You and I talked about this dating back to mid-June. To me, it didn't feel like the same venomous nature to how 2023 felt from Jonathan Taylor exiting the spring. And I think you saw that play out, obviously, with his holdout that lasted, a month into the season. I didn't get the impression that this was going to be that again. And Chris Ballard, I thought, was pretty adamant that he's not expecting it either. Taylor's going to practice. Ballard's quotes, and I'll continue to say this about Ballard. Think of him what you will. I actually do find his press conferences interesting because he does provide some detail on some answers here. And all of this is up on 1075thefan.com in a little bit more detail. But, Ballard would kind of reference, hey, people look at past history and just think it's going to be the same. And we can debate Taylor's leverage in this situation. I tend to think he doesn't have as great of a leverage that some people do. And part of it, I think, is just the position he plays. When the Colts needed him the most last year, what did Jonathan Taylor do? Nothing.
Yeah, fell off.
Nothing. And again, part of that is just it's running back. Mm-hmm. Like, you're so dependent on your quarterback, your passing game, so much around them that, to me, you only value that position so much.
Yeah.
I would not have taken Jeremiah Love at 3 overall. I think he's a wonderful talent, incredible talent. But, and again, he plays a little bit more of the passing game, whereas Taylor doesn't. But there's just a limit, I think, to, how much, to me, it's just a little bit of a luxury spot to you. So I'll be curious to see how this one plays out. He did mention with Nelson and Taylor, kind of the two heavily debated extension guys, we would like them here long term. It does sound like Carly Ursay-Gordon is allowing him to hand out contract extensions as he sees fit. In regards to Josh Downs, again, you're going to hear that answer. I guess that'll be my tease to that question that I think James and I each kind of threw one contract-related question to him, but that answer I think was a little bit different from Downs than maybe some have in regards to an extension. But yeah, Taylor's going to practice. So I think good news on that front. The Anthony Richardson trade request is still there. Ballard made it clear that they will not just be giving him away, and currently their intention is to have those 3 quarterbacks here week 1. And those 3 would obviously be Daniel Jones, Riley Leonard, and Richardson. I'm fascinated to see how that backup quarterback battle plays out. How many reps are you giving them? Because basically, Eddie, like, if you can food analogy it, you're asking Riley Leonard and Anthony Richardson to divide up a kid's meal.
Yeah.
In terms of the practice reps.
Yeah.
They're going to get. They just had a nice, Are you a fan of the 3? Is it the 3 Dipper from Chili's?
The 3 Dipper? The 3 for me is what I like to get when I'm at Chili's.
Okay, is that what it's called? I thought it was something dip related. Dipper?
The triple dipper.
Thank you. One more time on that.
The triple dipper.
Did you catch any of Shane Steichen on the flag football broadcast, by the way, over the weekend?
I did not know.
So I went back and watched it. He did the quarterfinal game, the noon game on Saturday, Buccaneers versus Commanders. If you want to see Shane Steichen, football nerd, can't hide his excitement, just go back and watch that. Like, people ask me all the time, what is Shane Steichen? I'm like, there is a big time football exuberant individual in there. And yes, it's nerdy, but it is fun to watch his passion and his excitement. You're going to feel that watching the 1 hour broadcast. But he brought up the coach of the Buccaneers team said he promised if their team won, they'd go to Chili's. And Shane Steichen said he likes the triple dipper and he really likes the cantina chips at Chili's.
Okay. You can't go wrong with their chips and salsa or the skillet queso.
Oh, skillet queso. Is there anything better?
No.
The only thing better than that is the Penn Station chocolate chip cookie. Did we talk about this last week?
No. I don't think you and I have talked about this.
I think it's the best cookie located at a cash register of any restaurant out there. You know how many restaurants have these stupid cookies at the,
Yeah.
And I fall for it every time. I'm like, yes, give me that. And they're all mediocre. They're rock hard. Not the Penn Station one. Oh, it's so good. It is so. Promise me, Eddie, next time you're there, you will get one.
I'll try my best.
Thank you. But yeah, Shane Steichen was really good. He even had a little bleep moment. Pass rusher for the Buccaneers was coming after the Commanders quarterback. He uttered and
Schnikes?
But he said it.
Oh.
And then he very quickly did the Phillip Rivers, shoot.
Dadgummit.
But no, he was it was actually a fun listen there. So to rewind this back to the 3 quarterbacks, one thing that I have mentioned about Richardson is I'm not in the camp of he's this massive distraction. I'm just not. I would keep him on the roster at this point. What are you going to get in return for him?
It's true.
Your depth chart at quarterback has got a bunch of injury questions. Let's just play it out.
It's what I've said from the get-go after they didn't trade him around draft time.
So that's kind of where I'm at. And Ballard did mention, like, he is a really good teammate. And, again, I think some of that kind of falls in the distraction category. I think that's probably all kind of the newsy stuff. Position battles he's keeping an eye out for. Wide receiver depth, backup center, defensive end opposite Latu. He mentioned Caden Curry.
Of course he did.
Yeah, a couple different times there. Linebacker, cornerback depth, and then safety. We got a position battle article up on the website. And then I guess lastly from Ballard, before we get to the Josh Downs interview, Eddie, or anything that stood out to you, his status. It's year 10.
Mm-hmm.
It is a contract year for him.
Mm-hmm.
Now, he was asked somewhat early in the press conference about, again, feeling the pressure and all of that. And when the question got asked, it was kind of like,
Did he give the same coy response of, well, this isn't pressure?
Yeah, he did kind of go down that path again, which I guess I'm kind of going to go back to what I said probably 365 days ago. Like, when we get in these press conference settings, it's almost like I understand that probably all of us, me, Ballard, everybody else in that little tent today up at Grand Park, we have great jobs.
Mm-hmm.
We work in sports. We're very lucky to do what we do. Like, my office today was a really cool sports complex and, just north of Indianapolis, and now I get to chat with you. Like, today was a pretty good day,
Yeah.
So, there is that part to me of, all right, I don't need, I don't need to be preached at. I don't need the philosophical answer on, I'm a steward for the organization. Well, it's like, yeah, you're also a multi-million-dollar steward for the organization that, a lot of people love to do what you do. So I was like, okay, so he's just going to go down that path again. I decided to ask him a little bit later in the press conference, and, again, asking the question, to me, it's all about, like, can it lead to an answer about, do you expect a contract extension before the start of the year? Now, I don't need to insert my own opinion on that. I think my opinion is probably pretty clear on that. But Ballard did say that no, he doesn't. And again, this is the first time he'll ever go into a contract year. He doesn't expect an extension, but he did follow up with and I'm paraphrasing a little bit here, and he basically said he wouldn't sign one if he was presented one. Which,
really?
Now, again, I can hear everybody, saying right now, well, no, duh, or you're just saying that, in front of a mic, et cetera, et cetera. So I followed up with why not, to get a little bit more of an expansion on that answer there. And, he pretty much said that we need to win. I'm in the final year of my deal, and we need to win. And stress that a couple of different times. And, again, words in late July are words in late July. But I think if you're a fan, you do appreciate that. Obviously, you probably truly only care about results. And we'll see. And now the question becomes, of course, how much do you need to win? And that's the black and white from the Carly Ursay Gordon, of what higher sense of urgency means there. So, yeah, that was probably about it from a Ballard rundown. Anything that you thought come across? And just to put a bow tie, I guess, on that particular answer, to be clear, he was asked in a follow-up by Stephen Holder. That is for him, his own contract status, not for players.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that was a good follow-up by Stephen. And, again, we know the numbers, right? 11, 8, and 5, 11 years without a home playoff game, division title, 8 years without a playoff win, 5 years without a playoff appearance. So the obviously need to win is quite abundantly true.
Nothing on that front. I think you covered it all pretty well. The only question I have for you is this. Should we change the name of physically unable to perform to something else? I don't know if I want people knowing that I'm physically unable to perform.
Is this where you're going to give me a blue pill joke?
No. I was just going to let the joke make itself.
I always have liked saying the word PUP or the acronym PUP. I've always kind of enjoyed that aspect too. Just to remind everybody with PUP, you can come off that at any day. So like that is not a, hey, CJ Allen and, again, insert all these other, Pierce, blah, 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 that they're going to be on PUP for X amount of days. So, that's the update there.
Who was it just recently? Was it either last year or 2 years ago? I feel like there was a player that was on PUP, but they were on PUP for like 1 day.
Yeah, I mean, you do have that. Basically, if you fail the physical, I think that means you are on PUP. Zaire Franklin was on it for quite a while last year. I think at one point, if I remember correctly, Anthony Costanzo had one of these like CJ Allen situations where he got hurt training. I want to say it was a hamstring injury, and then he missed like a month into the regular season. It ended up being a big deal. I would argue the Zaire Franklin thing was probably a little bit more of a bigger deal. Last year, if I remember correctly, I don't think Zaire practiced one time at Grand Park. So, that I think Pierce is probably the one that falls more into that boat of, again, how long is this going to be here? But unless you got anything else to add, I think that's everything.
That is everything. Before Twitter questions, of course, we've got to get to that. I was going to say JD1 interview.
Too. That's kind of how I started off the interview. It's still weird for me to look at Josh Downs and think jersey number 2, 4th year whiteout. This is our interview with Josh Downs on Report Day. Sitting down with us right now as we close things out here on Report Day. He's heading into his 4th NFL season. I'm still not used to you wearing number 2.
Yeah, definitely different.
Yeah, it is different. Josh Downs, I was going to say, part of me was like number 1, but no, he is number 2. Josh Downs joins us. How's the offseason?
It was good, man. Good time off. A lot of traveling, a lot of working out. So it was cool to get a little refresh and have this last month off.
How was Florida with the crew?
It was cool. I mean, we stayed at a great resort. Thankful to Danny. He put us up in some like 5-star, resort. It was kind of crazy, but good bonding, good work. And then the overall vibes were great.
I was going to ask, who's picking that up? I mean, maybe AP after all the money that he's got now, right?
AP going to get one soon, but, Danny the QB, so QBs, they like to take that role.
Okay. Josh, for you, going into year 4, I don't want to call you Unc just yet, but
facts.
you getting up there. How different does this feel for you? And going into a contract year, how much of that is on your mind?
Just like, more experience going into year 4. Excited to, see what how the cards may fall with the role and players not being here anymore. Contract year, not really like, obviously you got to do the same things you always do when you work out because, you don't want to do something out of the ordinary just to kind of, this is a big year, so I'm going to run 3 extra miles a day, like something like that. So you don't want to do that, but obviously, it's there in the back of my head, but it's not something I'm like super duper worried about. I feel like just my whole life, God has took care of me. So, I feel like a lot of things have lined up the right way this year. So I'm hoping to have a big year.
From an opportunity standpoint, talk about having a big year. How much more do you think is there for you, considering that Pittman's not here anymore, A.D. Mitchell isn't here anymore? Those talented guys that I'm sure you had a lot of respect for. But on paper, it looks like you have or should have more targets and opportunities.
Yeah, man. Coach put me in the right position. All you can do is make the play for him. So I'm excited for that. Trust me. I feel like I'm a really, really good receiver, and I feel like I have a lot more ability to show it this year possibly. So I'm excited for that. And, we got other guys going to get big opportunities, Tyler and AP as well. So, and we got, Ashton's going to get a huge role step up as well probably. So, excited for that, and it's going to be a different year because Pittman's not here. He was great for us, man. He was here for like 6-7 years. But yeah, we're gonna miss Pitt, but obviously we got to pick up where he left off.
What will you miss the most about not having Pitt here?
Nah, Pitt's just besides him just being a guy that really tough, set the tone kind of dude, and just being a great player is also just his off the field kind of guy. He's a really funny dude. Like obviously people probably know that, but he's a guy in meetings when it's 7 a.m. in the morning, like everybody's sleepy, like he gonna yell some crazy, something funny, like just to get the room to spark up, and he just does a lot of stuff that kind of just energizes the room, and it gets everybody going.
Again, that's the voice of Josh Downs. He's with us here. Report day for the Colts in training camp year 4. Do you care if you get a contract extension before the start of the year?
Nah, well, I don't know. Whatever happens is gonna happen, but I'm not like, oh, I need that. Nah, because I'd rather boost my own stock throughout the season. I feel like I can do a lot more, and I want that to show, and then see where that goes.
So, Josh, I do have to ask, do you know what November 8th is?
Yeah. I just assume that you're talking about Me playing my brother or something.
Exactly. So how much have you all talked about that? And honestly, as an older brother, what advice have you given him stepping into the NFL? I know he's on the other side of the ball, but you've been here for a little while.
Nah, I mean, the advice part, he'll ask me, like, little things about the off season, like, when do you start working out, when do you stop working out, how do you manage this, manage that. He'll ask me stuff like that, and I'll give him little nuggets. Telling him, like, the speed of the game might change a little bit, but not too much. If you're a good player, you're going to adjust, not too slowly, and then telling him how, the players just get better at this level. That's all it is. But we didn't, we know that game circled, but we weren't talking too much trash on it. But last week we had this one of our good homies wanted to do this, like, day in the life of us, and he asked us that question, and we was going at it for like 10 minutes, like going back and forth. He was like, no, don't come across that middle. I was like, trust me, I ain't worried about that. I'm like, I didn't play it against safeties that been in the league longer than that. I'm like, not worried about it. He's like, if you don't see me, I'm going to hit you. I'm like, trust me. You told me you're going to be lined up at nickel, so maybe you're going to be at safety, but even if you are, I'm not worried about it. I was like, hey, you can't guard me. So, we going back and forth during that, but it was fun.
Oh, go ahead.
Again, that's Josh Downs. He's with us here live in Westfield. I was thinking about this on the drive in because Matt Conti was telling us, I think Josh is going to join you. The best catch of your NFL career in your mind is what?
The best catch in my career is probably the catch against my second year against the Texans. AR threw me it. AR threw me it.
Was it here?
No, it was in Tennessee. It was in
down there.
Yeah,
because I was thinking of the Germany one.
Oh yeah.
Gardner third down.
That I like that one, but I like the one against the Texans. Like Petrie was like kind of like underneath me, and he AR threw it like it was like I think it was fourth down. AR threw it, and like I literally caught it like way in the back. But yeah, that was probably my favorite catch. Or last year against the Texans, Danny threw me one on the sideline, and it was like I toe tapped it.
Yeah.
But I didn't even know where I was on the field. But I was like, oh snap! I'm like. Reggie taught me that, so
Have you lined up? I'm trying to think. At North Carolina, I just remember you torching. I'm a Notre Dame fan, and you were torching them in that game. Did you do a lot of outside like lining up? Because Shane has talked 12 personnel.
Yeah.
He thinks you can do some of that.
Yeah, I mean, I did some of it. My whole life just been a guy that moves around. I play both sides, even line up in the backfield. So I'm not too worried about lining up outside and getting some one-on-one reps. Feel like my speed, quickness, and explosiveness can compete with anybody, so I'm not really too worried about that. And then when it comes to the route tree, I feel like I can run. I know I can run every route. Not feel like I know I can run every route. So I'm excited to see what goes down, and Shane, it's up to Shane and Jim Bob and them, and but I'm gonna do my part to make the plays that come my way.
Again, that's the voice of Josh Downs, fourth-year receiver for the Colts. Josh, when you look at this offense, how much do you appreciate what Daniel Jones brings to it and the work that he's put in to make sure that he's ready to go at start of training camp, just considering that he's only about 7.5 months removed from having a torn Achilles?
Yeah, no, Danny, the fact that he was even doing some spring was kind of like I actually didn't expect him to do any, but the fact that he was doing that kind of showed me, like, this dude is dedicated, even though I already knew he was dedicated. And then, like, when we went down there in Florida, how he was throwing, he had a lot of zip on the ball. I really, honestly forgot he was injured the way he looked down there in Florida. I forgot that even happened because he looked so good. But, Danny's the type of guy he's not the guy you got to check in on to do rehab. He's the guy that you probably got to tell to slow down a little bit because he wants to go so fast. But on top of that, just also keeping the guys together, asking when we're going, hey, you going to be in town this week? I'm trying to throw. I'm trying to do this, do that, get better. And I know he spends a lot of time in the facility watching tape with the coaches. So you can, that's what you want out of a quarterback.
Best thing you did this offseason?
Best thing I did this offseason, I went to Wimbledon and saw Novak Djokovic play.
That's lit.
Now, high-level tennis like that up close has got to be wild.
Nah, man, it was different. I didn't really realize how long those games be. I think he played this dude named Rinderknecht, and they played for like 4 hours. And it was like not even the quarterfinals. It was like the round of 32. And the fact that he played that long in a game like that was kind of crazy because I'm just like, you got to take one day off and go do it again. And then he had another game that was 5 hours, like 2 days later. Yeah. So it was like, man.
He said it kind of caught up to him in the final, I remember saying that.
Yeah.
I remember him saying that.
He's about 39 now, 38. Dude, he's playing center. Center's younger. But he had a bunch of hard, long games throughout that tournament. And I'm like I know the game before he played center was 5 hours. So I was like, dude, that's hard to recover from that.
You got some tennis game?
I got some pickleball game. I'm not on the tennis court yet. You know, that's a little.
I feel
little
like you
advanced.
you too young to be playing pickleball. I feel like that's cheating. You're a world
Nah.
class athlete,
You
Josh.
gotta play against people that are as athletic as you, because then you can really get to it.
I'm
you
like,
know.
come on now, that's like suburban.
Nah, it is.
That's where you're tired of the nursing home in
Yeah,
Florida is what you're saying there?
Nah, that's something else. Me and my brother compete in. We played pickleball.
That's for Gary Downs, not for Josh Downs
Right.
to be doing it.
Man, he can't. You're right, but that's another thing to compete with my brother. Like we went on with our family a couple of days ago, and like it was like six of us, and we were playing 2-on-2s, and then we were like, hey, y'all go play over there, and it was just me and Caleb on the court playing 1-on-1 for like an hour 30 minutes, like drenched in sweat, like everybody just, and we loud, we yelling at each other, like it was too funny.
Who's the best pickleball player on the team?
I don't know who plays pickleball. If I had to guess, like I'd assume that AP would be pretty good. Let me see. Maybe Cam Bynum could be. Cam Bynum seems like he does a lot of different stuff, so maybe he'd be good. I assume Riley Daniel would be good. Tyler probably be good. Those would be my guesses. Ashton probably could be good too. So
Sounds like we got some team bonding coming up. Maybe if you get some downtime throughout training camp, which will be rigorous.
Get the pickleball bracket going
I know,
here.
exactly. I got one last one for you, Josh. It is not a very serious question, but I was actually laughing out loud when I heard Cam Newton describe, Netflix opportunity for your brother.
yeah,
Tubi for you. Do you have a Tubi subscription?
nah, I don't. Tubi's free, right?
Tubi's free.
Nah, but
Have the app downloaded?
No, I actually don't. But like Cam said that, like I saw jokes and stuff. But like I feel like that's a shot at us in a way. So I feel like at that point I'm like, all right, like yeah, it's funny, but like no, it's not funny. Maybe to other people. So I'm just like, all right, we'll see about that this year. So it's a little. I feel like everybody on the team could look at that and be like, okay, like I see, bet. So.
I got one last one. Appreciate the time. A lot of this talk happened, I think, because you strike me as a great athlete, like the World Cup and, playing on grass, playing on turf. Those is a big topic. Do you have an opinion on that? Do you feel it when you play on turf versus when you play on grass? 'Cause it seems to be, with the World Cup just happening, it was a pretty big topic.
Yeah, I would rather play on grass. Like definitely, and it feels better. Like just like even from practicing outside and practicing in the indoor, it's just like two different things. But a lot of teams are the same way. You practice outside, feels much better, and then when they say, "Oh, it's raining, we got to go inside," everybody's like, "Man, I'm not trying to do all that." But definitely, grass makes you. I feel like grass there's more longevity with it, and they did it for them. Obviously, they're playing on a different kind of grass than us. So like we do when we go over to Europe, they're playing on that grass, I assume. So, but yeah, I would love to play on grass. I know it probably costs more, but. If they want to give us an extra game to get some grass in them stadiums, then I guess we can compromise a little bit.
The CBA negotiations at Josh Downs alive and well. He'll be on the grass tomorrow at 10 a.m. Josh, stay healthy, man. Good luck this season, and as always, appreciate the time.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Well, thank you, Eddie, for slotting that in there. Again, Josh Downs joining us this morning. We also had Tyler Warren on the show. Warren a little bit more on the reserved end, so I thought Downs was the better one to play, but you can find that on our Fan Morning Show podcast page. You got anything else, or should we do Twitter questions?
Let's get into those Twitter questions. Only two of them. Hayden is up first. Hey, guys, you definitely have the best and most honest Colts pod out there. Well, we appreciate that first and foremost. I've got a hypothetical with two scenarios considering how tough the schedule is to start the season. Number one, if Daniel Jones gets the week 1 start, isn't quite 100%, and the Colts come out 1-3, do you think the pressure from fans and media becomes loud enough that the team turns to Riley Leonard or Anthony Richardson? And number two, on the flip side,
should we just focus on one for a second?
Sure, yeah.
One more time. 1-3 with Jones?
Mm-hmm. To start the season.
I just think the leash is longer. I do. I mean, obviously you'll have fans chirping, but I think coming back from an Achilles in less than a year, I think the Colts will view that leash as well into at least the midway point of the season, if not further. Now, again, if he suffers an injury, then I think that's where you do have the question, Eddie, of like, if the inability to stay available pops up again and the Colts do have success when he's not there, that would be probably the question that I would have. But, This kind of gets into a little bit of the debate, and I've heard this from Colts fans when I've brought this up of like, you just summed up the worst case scenario for this season.
Mm-hmm.
But what if it's a reverse of last year? You start slow, finish better. Jones is ascending as a player in December and January, but you go 8-9. You kind of do what the Dolphins did this past year.
Yeah.
Do you look at that if you're Carly Ursay-Gordon and say, well, we wanted to play better late in the year? Daniel Jones is now going to be 2 years removed from the torn Achilles.
Yeah.
I know. But wouldn't that kind of be par for the Colts?
It would be par for the course, yeah.
Colts. Yeah. Okay, what's number 2? Again, I think no chance the Colts would do that early.
Scenario 2 from Hayden. On the flip side, if Jones has a setback and misses the first 4 games, and Riley Leonard or Anthony Richardson leads the team to a 3-1 start, do you think the Colts stick with the hot hand and keep Jones on the bench when he's healthy? Curious to hear what you guys see playing out. As always, appreciate the pod. My thoughts, Kevin, is this. You're not paying Daniel Jones all that money to sit behind one of those two.
Yeah, that's probably a very succinct and a little bit more of a easier way to summarize it. That second one, I do think the Colts would definitely go to Jones, but boy, you know that crowd would be hot. Because it's also a tough schedule, in my opinion.
Yes, it
to
is.
start the year. I mean, you would talk about some quality wins.
Baltimore at Kansas City on Sunday Night Football, home against Houston, home against Washington.
Yeah,
but that's not here.
Yeah.
Obviously, yes.
But still, I mean yeah. There's always, whenever I hear record, it's kind of like, okay, how do the wins look?
Mm-hmm.
Did you win all the games in these defensive slugfests, which would obviously be a big step forward for the defense there.
Or is it like the Denver Broncos?
Correct. 4-game sample size, though, is just a little too small. And you just summed it up well. There's no need for me to say anything else.
Thank you. The other question on today's podcast, as always, feel free to tweet them at us. You can see them on YouTube, our handles. If you are listening via audio platform, it's at KBowen1070 on X, at Eddie Garrison _. This is from Scott. Kevin, I have a very hard and ominous feeling surrounding Alec Pierce. I feel like he won't be ready for camp, and it's going to hinder the Colts offense as they try to find their footing at the start of the season.
Yeah, that's a very understandable thought, Scott. I again, if you look at the 4 to 6 months and all that, and there's something that we brought up on the morning show today, Eddie. It's like when you look at some of these injury situations, Jones, Pierce, Buckner. I don't want to throw C.J. Allen into that group, but let's throw Javarius Ward maybe into that group. I mean, you're talking about 4 of your top 10 best, most important players.
Yeah.
Again, we're not talking about, sorry to even just mention names, but, a Matt Gonzalez or Hakeem Davis Gaither. You aren't talking about your other guard or your opposite linebacker. You are talking about, again, prominent frontline, either players and or positions or both in many instances here. But Pierce, to me, this is a huge thing because if you eliminate and or limit him in any way, shape, or form, we've yet to really see the Colts be asked to play without Pierce.
Yeah.
For a notable period of time. And, again, if you limit the home run ability, boy, that just does a lot to your offense, I think, in creating a little bit more of a ceiling. The Pierce-Jonathan Taylor combo is such a deadly duo in striking fear to a defense. Oh, you really want to cheat another safety up into the box? Boom, 14 over the top. Oh, you really want to keep both those safeties back? Boom, 28 gets the second level of the head of steam.
Yeah.
They're just such a great combo in providing home run ability for you. So, it's a, I understand where Scott's coming from. There probably is a little PTSD to some of it. And, again, Ballard didn't say this today, but that's where I do look at that third wideout and think, or I guess I shouldn't say third wideout. I mean, Doolin is that guy right now, but adding another wideout is probably the better way to put it. Do we see the Colts do that?
Yeah, I would totally agree with you. And the fact that Pierce is on, the PUP list and is going to miss a week, I think it's going to give them a week of actual substance, to look at, what they look like in training camp to evaluate and, make a decision on whether or not they want to add another body into that room. And that is certainly one of the 53 questions if people are still wanting to get their fix on things that you'll be watching or things to watch in general on social media with your coverage, with your colleagues' coverage of the Colts, your 53 questions about 2026 Colts training camp.
Thank you for that plug there.
You're welcome.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
And I would just add one more thing too. Like when you talk about adding another wideout, Eddie, the Colts training camp, you have 13 practices at Grand Park.
Mm-hmm.
You have the one additional one in Foxborough, the joint practice with New England. That 13 number becomes half when you and I are doing the pod next Tuesday. So like it gets early quick, I guess is what I'm saying in terms of those reps. Now, again, you still will practice at your own facility once, training camp ends on whatever that is, August 20th. But with the thought that Daniel Jones isn't going to play in the preseason games, and naturally you just don't have the same camp cadence the deeper you get into August, adding a player like that where timing and chemistry and all that's going to be really important, again, I think the earlier the better for that. So I'll be curious. I think it's a good point you bring up, the evaluation period. But again, how long do you want to look at the Doolins of the world? Now, without Pierce for a week or two, Doolin and Westbrook-Akine and Laquan Treadwell, they're going to continue to get great opportunities.
Yeah.
Great opportunities here early in camp. He is Eddie Garrison. I am Kevin Bowen. This is Colts Corner with Kevin Bowen. YouTube audience, thank you, as always. Eddie, great work. Love the graphics.
Thank you.
Looking good there in the middle. And we'll be back probably next Tuesday. That will recap a handful of practices so far for the Colts. Again, we'll have video recaps daily up there at Grand Park. You can catch our morning show at 1075thefan.com for all of your Colts coverage. Everybody have a great start to training camp. We'll talk to you next week.